The Russians launched a large-scale assault in the Dobropilya direction.
At the moment, the intensity is very high. There are a lot of targets being hit over the course of 4 hours. We've already struck about 15 targets.
At 3:17 a.m., October 10th, 2025. The sky above Tokmak in southern Ukraine flashed once, and in that single second, the course of the war changed forever.
You look at the Russian threat, you've got to think it a little bit bigger now.
A single HIMARS rocket, fired from over 80 kilometers away, slammed directly into a Russian military command base that had been operating secretly for months.
About 300 soldiers tried to break through to the village of Volodymyrivka.
The explosion lit up the night like a sunrise, tearing through bunkers, fuel tanks, and ammunition depots. Satellite footage released hours later showed nothing but a smoldering crater where one of Russia's most fortified positions once stood.
Ukrainian drones targeted a Russian fuel train.
It wasn't just a strike, it was a message, a reminder that no matter how deep Russia dug, Ukraine could still reach them. For weeks, Ukrainian intelligence had been watching. The Tokmak base wasn't just any installation. It was the nerve center for Russia's southern front, the headquarters coordinating logistics and troop movements from Zaporizhzhia to Melitopol.
Due to Ukrainian drone attacks, which account for up to 70%.
Russian commanders believed the base was beyond the range of Ukrainian artillery, protected by advanced S-400 air defenses and electronic jammers. They were wrong. What they didn't know was that Ukrainian surveillance drones and Western satellites had already marked the coordinates. Every night, analysts tracked heat signatures, convoy patterns, and encrypted communications. The base wasn't invisible, it was exposed, and Ukraine was waiting for the perfect moment to strike. That moment arrived in the early hours of October 10th. 2 days earlier, Ukrainian signals intelligence intercepted a burst of encrypted Russian radio traffic labeled with the tag Vostok Command. Cross-checking those signals with satellite data revealed the truth. The Southern Command Center had moved to Tokmak. Analysts confirmed the location down to a 12-meter radius. The decision was made within hours. Ukraine's General Staff authorized Operation Phoenix, a single precision strike designed to decapitate Russia's chain of command. The HIMARS crew was briefed, the coordinates were entered, and the window was set. They had one shot, one rocket to make it count. The HIMARS launcher stood hidden beneath camouflage netting in an open field, its crew silent and tense. The night was cold, the air heavy with mist. Inside the vehicle, the commander checked the trajectory one last time. The rocket's guidance system locked on. There was no countdown, no dramatics, just a calm voice saying, "Fire." The rocket ignited with a burst of flame and roared into the darkness, vanishing within seconds. For the next 45 seconds, the world was silent. Then came the explosion. The blast was so powerful that seismic sensors registered the impact. Villagers miles away were jolted from sleep as windows rattled and dogs howled. Fireballs shot into the sky as secondary explosions ripped through ammunition depots and fuel tanks. The HIMARS strike had hit the exact center of the base, igniting everything at once. Satellite heat maps later showed the fire spreading rapidly across an area the size of 4 football fields. Russian soldiers nearby described it as a sun falling from the sky. It wasn't long before the entire base was gone, consumed by flames and shockwaves. When the smoke finally cleared, Russian communication channels went silent. Ukrainian intelligence reported total blackout from the Tokmak command. Russian units across southern Ukraine were suddenly leaderless, unable to receive orders. Attempts to contact the base failed. Panic spread through the ranks. Within hours, satellite photos confirmed what the world would soon learn. The base had been annihilated. Burnt-out vehicles, cratered bunkers, twisted steel, and columns of black smoke filled the landscape.
Prevent a disaster at a nuclear plant that sits on the front lines in Ukraine.
What was once the command center for thousands of troops was now a graveyard of metal. Then came the shocking revelation. Ukrainian intelligence confirmed through intercepted chatter that Lieutenant General Mikhail Sokolov, commander of Russia's 58th Combined Arms Army, had been on site during the strike. Moscow tried to deny it, but Russian military bloggers hinted otherwise. "We've lost Tokmak HQ," one wrote. No communication, no leadership. Western analysts quickly confirmed the same conclusion. The HIMARS strike didn't just destroy a base, it had decapitated Russia's southern command structure. Within 24 hours, Russian forces began to retreat chaotically from several positions south of Zaporizhzhia. Inside Moscow, the shock was immediate. The Kremlin called an emergency meeting, and the Ministry of Defense issued a vague statement, blaming an accidental ammunition explosion. But the satellite imagery told the real story. NASA's firm's fire monitoring system detected a massive heat spike at Tokmak at 3:17 a.m., consistent with a precision-guided missile strike, not an accident. Independent Russian journalists, posting from exile, confirmed the truth. It was a HIMARS hit, and it had succeeded beyond anyone's expectations. The strike became a symbol of Ukrainian precision and resilience, celebrated across the country as one of the greatest military operations of the war. On the ground, the impact was immediate and devastating for Russia. With the Tokmak HQ gone, supply lines collapsed, fuel convoys stopped moving, artillery batteries lost coordination, and frontline units were left stranded without orders. Ukrainian mechanized brigades seized the opportunity. Within 48 hours, they advanced more than 10 kilometers, liberating villages and capturing stockpiles of Russian ammunition. Drone footage released by Ukraine's Ministry of Defense showed abandoned tanks, burning trucks, and disoriented Russian troops fleeing on foot. Soldiers described it as a domino effect. The enemy fell apart piece by piece. For Ukraine, it was a turning point, not just militarily, but psychologically. The strike proved that no fortress was safe, no general untouchable. It gave Ukrainian troops the confidence to push forward and reignited public belief in victory. President Zelensky later hinted at the operation in a speech, saying, "Every shot fired in defense of our land carries the weight of justice. Every target destroyed brings us closer to peace." The line went viral across social media, with millions sharing the phrase alongside images of HIMARS launchers. In Russia, however, the fallout was catastrophic. Dozens of officers were reportedly dismissed or reassigned in the days that followed. Telegram channels linked to the Russian army exploded with anger. "How could this happen?" one popular blogger asked. "We were told the base was protected by S-400s and electronic shields. Where were they?" The Kremlin responded by ordering all major command posts to relocate at least 80 kilometers further from the front line, a move that drastically slowed Russia's operational efficiency. It was an admission of fear, a quiet acknowledgement that nowhere inside Ukraine was safe anymore. The world reacted quickly. Western media called it the most surgical strike of the war. Military experts compared it to the sinking of the Moskva cruiser, calling it another humiliation for Russia's military prestige. Defense analysts noted how the strike demonstrated the future of warfare: intelligence-driven, data-fused, and executed with precision rather than mass firepower. "This was not about the number of rockets," said one Pentagon analyst. "It was about knowing exactly when and where to fire one." But perhaps the most human story came from the Ukrainian crew who fired that missile. 5 soldiers, part of the 45th Artillery Brigade, carried out the operation. Their names remain classified, but one, speaking anonymously to local media, said, "When we saw the explosion on the satellite feed, no one said a word. We just sat there. We knew what it meant, that one rocket changed the war." Their silence became a symbol of discipline, precision, and purpose. The very qualities that made Ukraine's military capable of defying a larger, better-equipped enemy.
He paid anything for it, but he should pay, firstly, because he started the war.
Moscow, humiliated and furious, retaliated 2 nights later with a barrage of missiles and drones targeting Kiev, Dnipro, and Odessa. But most were intercepted by Ukraine's air defenses. The attempt to avenge Tokmak failed spectacularly. None of the strikes matched the precision or effectiveness of the HIMARS attack. Ukraine had made its point. Power didn't lie in quantity, it lay in accuracy. In the weeks that followed, the Tokmak strike became a rallying cry for Ukrainians. Artists painted murals of the explosion. Soldiers wore patches with the date, October 10th, 2025, and social media dubbed it the Night of Fire. Even foreign allies took note. American and British generals publicly praised Ukraine's use of advanced tactics and intelligence integration, calling it a textbook example of modern asymmetric warfare. China's defense analysts quietly studied the event, warning that traditional military strategies were now obsolete in the face of precision warfare. By the end of October, Russia's forces in southern Ukraine were still reeling from the loss. Logistics were slower, morale was shattered, and communication systems were fractured. The HIMARS strike had done more than destroy a base. It had broken the psychological backbone of the Russian military effort. It exposed the illusion of invincibility and proved that no bunker, no general, no amount of propaganda could shield the truth from precision and timing. As dawn rose over the ruins of Tokmak, the sky was still gray with smoke. A Ukrainian soldier watching from afar filmed the aftermath, a wide crater, twisted vehicles, and distant flames flickering in the wind. His voice, barely above a whisper, carried through the smoke-filled air. "That's not just fire. That's the war changing.